to play the clip now. We can react.
It's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for equal opportunity.
Do not bring up Harriet Tubman's name in vain, baby. Please.
They said the Lord's name in vain. The Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad.
Come on in. No, you know who helped her?
Come on in.
No, you know who helped her?
God and
people who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things
it's a lie. White supremacy is a lie.
No, sir, that's simply not true. If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when they do not have the power.
Because their culture. Black culture is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit. It's not gonna work. No, it's a big has to be in facts.
You're putting off emotional liberalism right now.
I am not putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies based in conservatism.
Misinformation. Remember they did the misinformation thing all summer where everything conservative did. They said misinformation.
You're carrying a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm black people and non-Jewish people. But let me bring
Nora had to leave. Kamal, what you think?
Man, that sassy ass Sambo need to shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. He was getting on my goddamn nerves. I felt like he was one of the people that was trying to like get a viral moment. I'm like, bro, you're not really having a debate. The shit you saying, he's saying stuff that like, oh, even black folks own slaves. Why should I have to pay for reparations? You fucking idiot, man. Black folks own slaves. What they miss is the context of it. They were buying their relatives, their cousins, their aunts out of slavery. That's what they're doing. Then he's talking about white supremacy don't exist. So it's a fucking boogeyman. It really don't exist. Come on, man. It's just these talking points. And then he kept trying to box her in as like a liberal, and she kept telling him, not a liberal. All right. And this is what I mean by like when these black conservatives, not all of them, but it's a good amount of them. Mia pointed out one thing. They love to be like, oh, those black people. It's like a rugged individualism when it comes to this shit, when it comes to them. And then another thing I noticed when it comes to the black conservatives, their debating style. They always think that if you over talk somebody and talk for a very long time, even though if you got a bunch of misinformation and wrong, they think they win in the debate. How can you debate with somebody like that? It don't make no goddamn sense. So that's what I felt about, bro. The sassy ass Sambo. He was getting on my nerves with them goddamn talking points he was saying because all of them was getting debunked, and he just kept over talking. And I'm like, bruh, this shit is getting out of hand, man. So this is how I felt.
Mia, what you think? She frozen? Enzo, what you think? Like a bunch of people frozen.
So, only thing I'm gonna really comment on with that clip is bro saying white supremacy is fake. Like, let's be real now, everybody. White supremacy is not fucking fake. It is real. We've known about it. We've spoke about it. We've learned about it. So for anybody, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, for anyone to say that white supremacy is fake, you're absolutely brain dead in my eyes. It's something that we should do better with teaching. So racial things like that, white supremacy, don't keep rising up in this country. I do not agree with white supremacy whatsoever. I think it's absolutely disgusting and a barbaric thing from back in the day. We need to do better as a country to teach what white supremacy was, to not glorify it, to make sure it doesn't happen again. Because if we fail to teach our history, we will repeat our past. Biggest example I always use in my lives all the time is look at what Germany did after World War II. They refused to teach what happened in the 40s, and it is bound to repeat what happened. We need to teach it the correct way, not taboo it and just make it disappear like it never happened.
For sure. Skeptic, what you think?
I took away a few interesting points because sometimes I feel crazy, like when I do research. When Amanda Seales said that statistics definitely lie. So one of the things that I had covered one time was the Monahan report, which is what people use whenever they say, "Oh, black marriages were doing better during Reconstruction and all these things." So we know that America has used the scientific community to perpetuate these like racist scientific, statistics. One of them in particular that I've looked into is the Census Bureau. So the Black community is actually undercounted even more than the Latino community in America, which is an interesting fact to me because when I start looking into it, it's like not really understood. I haven't found an explanation as to why. So I think that taking that into account, a lot of the statistics to me begin to kind of make a little bit more sense when I start looking at it like from that perspective. I also think that when I hear people like repeat things that don't really make sense, like, the one thing that everyone said on this debate was like the crime thing, which Andre also brought up. We know that crime is like committed because of proximity. And actually the percentage of white on white crime is actually higher if we actually break it down. So I think it's like an interesting thing when we perpetuate and we repeat these facts, that when you break them down and really start looking at them, you can, number one, the criminal justice system was created. Number one, police officers were created to basically catch runaway slaves. Like, just think about that, right? Now, the perpetuation of that in the criminal sense of police officers and the generations that have come after that here in America that have over-policed the Black community, that stop Black men and search Black men more than they do white men, even though we know that white people, do crime at a pretty kind of reasonable, percentage. So they're higher, but still we get over policed, we get stopped more, we get searched more, and Black people are more likely to be charged with a crime, right? So like when you take all of that into account and you start breaking down everything that they were repeating, you see the racism in the comments that they're saying. I think it's like so interesting to see someone say something that they haven't even really looked into, because if they did, they wouldn't be repeating these things. They would understand the sense behind what they're saying and why those numbers are the way that they are.
Y'all see in the chat though? You see what Lolly says? Y'all see it? This is what we talking about. This line with statistics. You fucking ignorant motherfucker. You could take a certain group of people. You'd be like, I'm just going to focus on this group and not this group over here. That's how you lie with stats. Of course, think about this. If you're over policed, right, then you're going to be the one to get caught with more crime. Also, what's happening? Some of the crimes that white folks do don't get reported. Like, can we stop acting dumb here?
Can I also could I add in that exoneration cases or cases that get dropped are between 2 to 10% here in America, and the ones that are attributed to the Black community are up to 47%. So actually it's a high percentage of, number one, crimes that get dropped, because the percentage that he's claiming that is 59%, if you go and find that in the FBI statistics that they give you, these are not offenses that have been they haven't gone all the way through court, right? These are just arrests. So 59% of arrest. So you don't know if that arrest or if that charge was dropped, because from 2 to 10% of exonerations, which is like, you can go anywhere between that. It's a pretty good amount. 10% is pretty high. 47% of those 10% are exonerations in the Black community, right? So the 59% is kind of like a false number that you're getting, because that hasn't actually gone all the way through the justice system. That could have been an arrest, and later on they found out that, hey, they don't have anything to actually charge that with.
The one thing I agree with him on is that white people did help Harriet Tubman. The group is called the Quakers. They still exist to this day. Mia, what did you think?
I think statistics and numbers do tell a lot of lies, and a lot of people isolate small portions to support their argument. And I feel like, especially with that panel, there were 20 people. And, you know, like I said before, you can tell who is genuine and who's a grifter. And it's the same thing with Black conservatives. There are some of us that are coming from a place of wanting to heal the community. And you can see with the verbiage, our people, our community, let's do this, us. And then you have some people who come from more of a self-hating place. And I find that those people tend to use a lot of these statistics, narrow them, and then spew them out. And everybody should understand that crime is proximity. Asians kill more Asians, Black kill more Black, and white kill more white because we all live together. Now, you know, that's a fact. Most of the time, we all live together. However, I think a lot of people don't want to have the conversation with, we got to stop with the whataboutism. Well, what about whites? We're not talking about white people. We're going to solely look at the Black people and look at our own community. And then we got to figure out who's doing the killing. Us, our sons, our daughters, our nephews, our cousins, our spouses, our uncles, our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our cousins, you know, our sisters. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that's culture. Our community is raising people that think it's okay to murder us. Now that's a value system problem. That's not a white supremacy problem. White supremacists aren't raising our sons, our daughters, our nephews, and whatnot to go out into the world. They start in our home. So I find that a lot of people don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation because crime is proximal, correct? Which means we are raising these people to do these bad things. And that's where I find a lot of Black conservatives and a lot of liberals and a lot of people in our community don't want to talk about that. We are raising these murderers. What are we going to do bottom up? So from the time they're an infant until they're an adult, what are we going to do to raise them in a positive, reinforced, stable environment so they do not go out and kill our neighbor? That is the conversation we should be having. However, a lot of people don't want to have that conversation because it's uncomfortable.
Well, the pastor was bleeding my feed today because I guess he was upset with what Amanda did. So he was making videos over and over and over attacking her. So here's one of them.
Oh my God. I'm going to leave her alone.
She was the worst Jubilee surprise guest probably that they had. She was the stereotypical Black woman. She was angry. She was nasty.
Why do we have to say Black? We can clearly tell she's of African descent. Why do we have to throw that out there?
Black conservative who was removed because she yelled at people several times. She threatened about 5 or 6 times. She was a diva. 6 or 7 times she threatened to leave. Now, I'm thankful for the opportunity. Thankful for getting to sit down with her. I respect her for what she's accomplished. But as a person, I have no respect for her. She was very disrespectful to me because I believe I destroyed her to start off, and she didn't want to talk to me again. And I wouldn't want to talk to me because she can't beat me in a debate. A real debate where she's not yelling, she could not beat me because the facts are on my side. I don't care how much they lie and try to act like they aren't. I love Black people and I love myself. But you know, if you're Black and you have a difference in opinion in the Black community, you don't love yourself, and because we're the only race they can't have. But that's the truth. She was the worst Jubilee guest celebrity person there was, and none of the Black conservatives liked her at the end. Like Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson, all the conservative, respectful. They treated other people's opinion with respect, not her.
So this brings up a good question because I mean we literally just had Andre. So like, what is the actual decorum of debating, and what actually says that a person won? Like, are we trying to get to like a common ground? And Mia, I'll let you go first. What you think?
I mean, winning is subjective. I'm sure I looked at Amanda's argument and decided she won. That's my subjective view of what happened. I'm sure all those conservatives that were sitting around her think she lost. I mean, winning and losing is all subjective. It's the eye of the beholder. I mean, we should debate to find some sort of common ground. However, different panels aren't quite run that way. I will say I can understand why she potentially may have had an attitude. I'm sure the energy in that room was probably not the best, and she was probably on the defensive mode, which, I mean, rightfully so. So I can't really blame her. I would probably be a little defensive too.
Enzo, you're on live a lot. So is it to debate? Is it to win? Is it to actual learn something? What is it about?
So what, in my mind, a debate is not about winning or losing. It's about learning from each other. You might win on a point, like somebody that brings up the ultimate goal of the debate, in my eyes, is not to win outright the conversation. What I like to do is have a debate discussion with somebody, whatever you want to call it. They point out something that's factual that I agree with. I point out something that's factual that they agree with. It's to come together at the end of the day and find a middle ground, not to literally just not just scorecard, but like, oh, I won. Because if you win, obviously that means you know everything at the end of the day. Nobody can tell you otherwise, and that's it. There's nothing else for you. I was always taught you're a student of life at the end of the day. You are going to learn until the day you die. You are never going to know everything. So learn as much as you can. Take in things from people that know more than you or that know less than you, not to just win everything.
Skeptic, you're another TikTok live person. So is he wrong for leaving the Jubilee debate and then making a video about her? Or should it all be left on the field once you guys debate? Is it over? Then you shake hands? What's it supposed to be?
Yeah, it's giving me crybaby vibes, but that's just me. I do think when you're a woman, I think sometimes people can like kind of tend to kind of want to get disrespectful or like speak over you. I don't like to talk like at the same time as someone else. Like if I'm on TikTok, it's very common that if you're talking, someone else just starts talking. I will stop talking. Like I want people to be able to hear. So, and then I'll just like mute and I'll wait. And then I'm like, let me respond. But everyone doesn't have the patience to do that, especially if you're being timed. I can see kind of being more aggressive. And also, I think in the beginning, she kind of had to set the stage for how things were going to be carried. She was kind of more short with people and wasn't as patient in the beginning. And as it went by, she kind of let people talk more. So I think she was trying to set the stage, like, this is how we're going to conduct this. This is how we're going to do things. So I don't think that he didn't get enough time to speak. I think he had all the time to speak. He didn't have good points. So it's definitely giving crybaby vibes. I did want to say to this point, when we talk on, because this is something that really bothers me. I think we have to acknowledge the fact that propaganda has been pushed to us to make us look at Black and brown men in a certain way. When we really look down at stats and we look at serial unalivers, they tend to be white men. When we look at mass unalivers with pew-pews, they tend to be white men. When we look at people that attack women and children, they tend to be white men. So I don't like the narrative to continue to repeat. I know there should be responsibility in our communities, but the way that propaganda has been pushed for you to clench your purse. I lived in the hood with my uncle when I was in high school. When I first started off in college, before I got into my dorms, I lived in an area that has recently been in the news for crime. And I lived where I was from Hollywood. Like I knew where I was from. And I never felt like I was unsafe. If you're not in the G members' lives and you're not representing for something, you're pretty much safe unless you're in an area where they're actively doing something. So I do think, I'm not saying that the unalivings are not there, but what I am saying is that propaganda has been pushed to us for us to see a certain group of men as very dangerous, when the group of men that have been unaliving us in the schools, we don't see them as a danger. Anyways, that's it.
So Kamal, you had a blowout last week with in a debate. So a lot of people saying that this Jubilee stuff is toxic. Do you feel like it's toxic?
No, Jubilee not toxic, and last week was not a goddamn debate. I'm telling you that right now. That was no debate. You feel me? I went into clowning mode. That was a clown show. You feel me? There was no debate. This is my thing. There's a couple things I want to point out. First of all, in the chat, we had Lolly say, our panel is self-hating. She said we self-hating on this panel. He, no. What I'm hating is that you licking your dog nuts and your dog is barking for help. So shut your ass up. God damn. It's always somebody unruly in the damn chat saying some bullshit. Anyway, remember when was it you, Enzo, and Skeptic on that panel? Y'all was talking about J6?
Yeah,
I think it was
same show.
So y'all saw how y'all was doing. Y'all was getting heated and passionate and shit like that, but y'all were debating. Y'all are letting each other get your shit off. You might have interject here and there, but you weren't just constantly cutting off, constantly trying to overtalk. That's debating. All that other shit, no, that's a performance. Motherfuckers be performing. They're not debating. And can you win a debate? I personally think nobody wins a debate. I feel like Enzo feels. No, you get an understanding of shit. Now, do certain people make more sense in a debate? For damn sure. Some people come with more facts, come with more sense. You feel me? But at the end of the day, I feel that if you're intelligent enough, you're going to take something from the debate that you could apply to your life to make you a better person. Or a worse person. I don't know. It depends how the fuck you feel that day. But that's how I feel. Jubilee is not toxic or nothing like that. But as I saw with Berber, and I got to do it, he was, Amanda Seals was threatening me. She was so mean to me. Oh, my God. Yeah, sound like a damn crybaby. Cry me a fucking Justin Timberlake river, Berber. God damn. We saw the debate. You kept trying to overtalk her, so she started overtalking you. Bro, stop crying, bro. God damn.
You want to know who I feel like made debates great? Donald Trump. I felt like debates was boring until Trump. I remember when Trump said something about Joe Biden's son being on drugs. I just like can't believe
he is undefeated in a debate.
I know. I just like so it was like people, because I felt like people were interested in this until Trump started